World of Darkness has its own dark version of Barney. His name is Brainy and his show airs on Omni TV, which is Pentex's mega television network. The show that most of the world sees is very similar to Barney and features a cheerful crowd of children abandoned at a daycare child barn who are entertained by a happy purple dinosaur toy that comes to life. Pentex has made movies, ice shows, and a whole line of toys and clothing, perpetuating Brainy as an icon to children. But Brainy is actually a weregator that was raised in a Louisiana gator farm and went on a search for power that led him to the gruesome atrocity realm. After the happy show that everyone else sees is over, he lures child spirits into the realm where they are eventually eaten by the devil dinosaur. It is actually a group of black spiral dancers that are the crew and writers for the show. And there have been a few groups of were creatures and such who have attempted to break into the atrocity realm in an attempt to put an end to what Pentex and Brainy have been doing, but so far none have succeeded. Let's talk about the origin story of a powerful wereshark within World of Darkness known as Bleed's Night. Bleed's Night has only swam the seas as a Rokia, which is the name for weresharks within World of Darkness, for 3 decades and has spent the last 10 years living on land, which is forbidden in Rokian society and can be punishable by death. He first ventured inland as part of a hunt for a rogue Rokia called Bloody Stripes, who had forsaken everything it meant to be Rokia to serve a being of corruption. The group, which included Bleed's Night, 2 Brightwater Rokia, and a Dimwater Rokia called Guard the Shoals, found Bloody Stripes hiding out in Tampa, Florida. They immediately attacked, confident they could easily take him because of their numbers. The result was tragic. Bloody Stripes fought them not with tooth and claw, but with a silver weapon. He slew both the Brightwater Rokia before they even realized what was happening. Bleed's Night fought back, injuring the rogue Rokia, but Guard the Shoals fled for his life. Bleed's Night, alone and wounded, managed to turn Bloody Stripes' silver weapon on him. Bloody Stripes fell dead, changing back into his natural form of shark just as the police arrived. What the cops ended up finding was a naked black man bleeding from a bite wound, surrounded by the corpses of 3 sharks. This is when Bleed's Night spoke exactly 3 words of English to them: "I don't understand." Escaping the police required him to venture into the land's Umbra realm, which the Rokia like to refer to as the soul of the land. He found it fascinating, strange, and even a bit frightening, but certainly not the pit of certain doom that Rokian culture makes it out to be. After returning to sea to tell other Rokia what he had experienced, he found himself marked for death. Guards the Shoals believed that since he couldn't defeat Bloody Stripes, there was no way that Bleed's Night could have done so. And when Guards the Shoals found that his groupmate that he had abandoned was still alive, he decided that Bleed's Night must have sided with the rogue Rokia rather than face death. Enough Rokia believed Guards the Shoals that Bleed's Night had to flee again, back to land. Since then, Bleed's Night has learned more about the surface world than any single Rokia in the sea. He holds down a job, pays his taxes, and still manages to fulfill his duties as a Rokia. Over the years, he has made contact with many Rokia coming to live on land and teaches them about the surface world and how best to avoid the other Rokia sent to hunt them. He has also ventured into the land's soul so many times, he is the most knowledgeable Rokia alive with respect to the Umbra, but Guards the Shoals still hunts him to this day. Let's talk about a powerful and angry werebear you do not want to stumble across in World of Darkness. The polar bear cub that would one day call herself Kirima Sky had just entered her 2nd year when an oil tanker wrecked along the coast of her Alaskan home, spewing tons of noxious petroleum into the water and onto the shore. The spill trapped Kirima, her mother, her brother, and thousands of fish and other aquatic animals in a thick, viscous film of oil that made breathing difficult and movement almost impossible. Only the onset of her first change saved Kirima's life, bolstering her with the supernatural strength and endurance of her Krynos form. Kirima dragged herself away from the muck and the ooze. Slowly and painfully, she managed to recover from the damage to her body. Her spirit, however, smoldered with anger as her newly awakened consciousness registered what had happened to her and her family. The first humans to arrive on the scene of the oil spill, which was an intrepid news team, paid for their timeliness with their lives. A damage control crew from the company that was responsible for the spill suffered the same fate. Kirima's uncontrollable rage has filled her with a drive for vengeance against anything and everything that approaches her desecrated territory. Let's talk about the origin story of the 3 powerful Rokia, which is the name for weresharks within World of Darkness. Their names are Bloodscent, Halftail, and Seas Leagues. These 3, like almost all Rokia, were born to sharks in the ocean and have little to no understanding of the human world. But the 3 of them ventured onto land in 1981 to track down down a rogue Rokia who had decided to live on land exclusively, which is forbidden in their culture and can be punishable by death. They did eventually find this rogue wereshark who gave himself up knowing that he could never fight all three of them. He offered to return to sea with them, but asked if they would like to explore the land a bit first. The trio, curious and excited to be on land, agreed. The land dweller introduced them to human foods, cultures, language, music, and even sex. By the time they were ready to leave, Bloodscent, the only female in the group, was with child. Their guide explained that if she changed shape again, she would lose the baby. This meant that she would have to remain on land for the full gestation period, if she wished for the child to be born. The three of them discussed the matter and decided that Bloodscent had only been following the Rokian imperative to spawn whenever she conceived the child. This is when the land dweller returned to sea, or at least that's what he said, and the trio remained on land until Bloodscent was ready to deliver. During this time on land, the three of them grew to enjoy living above the waves as a human. They visited the seas regularly but spent most of their days learning about humanity. When it was time for Bloodscent to give birth, her son was born without complications, and the three Rokia left soon after, leaving the child as a ward of the state. When they returned to sea, however, they found themselves longing for the land. They had made friends up there, and while the notion of staying in one place for the rest of their lives wasn't appealing to them, the idea of exploring the land's vastness certainly was. So they made the choice to swim between sea and land, thus becoming the first true betweeners. Let's talk about a legendary and powerful German killing Geralt, which is the name for werebears in World of Darkness. Her name is Ursula Berenson, but is also known as Gaia's partisan. The German invasion of Poland on September 1st, 1939 marked the beginning of World War II. On that day, Ursula, a 16-year-old native of Danzig, underwent her first change and killed her first German soldier. Filled with terror at her transformation, Ursula fled into the forest outside the city. There, she found other citizen warriors, victims of the German invasion who have decided to fight with the only weapons they have left to them: terror and ingenuity. Ursula tried to hide her strangeness from her comrades, but little by little, they realized that the teenager commanded the power to transform herself into a savage dealer of death. These freedom fighters ended up welcoming what they dubbed as the incarnation of the ancient bear mother. For 2 years, Ursula and her companions harassed the German armies in Poland, and whenever they could, they rescued prisoners from German transports bound for the labor camps, as well as funnel refugees out of Poland to safety. Unable to unite with her mentor, an elderly woman named Marta who was trapped in Lithuania, Ursula's education as a Geralt had to take place in her dreams. While her comrades slept or kept watch over their secret camp, Ursula would travel long distances in her dreams to meet with her mentor and learn the rights and gifts of the Geralt. Every time Ursula learned something new, she found a way to use it in her war. She even discovered that she could pull her companions into the Umber Realm with her to hide them from the soldiers and dogs that pursued them. When the war finally ended, Ursula set out on a search for her mentor, determined to thank her for her dream lessons and for helping her save so many lives. Let's talk about the origin story of the Nightmare of Yellowstone. His name is Snarltooth, and he is a bear-born Geralt, which is the name for werebears in World of Darkness. Snarltooth grew up amongst the grizzly bears of Yellowstone National Park, and his first change came easily since his mentor, another of the park's grizzly population, was also his mother. She taught her son the ways of the Geralt, like how to shift easily among his multiple new forms and how to enter the Umber Realm. She advised her son to study the ways of humans but not to copy them without thought. She even taught Snarltooth of the other changing breeds and of the shameful actions of the werewolves during the War of Rage. Although he absorbed everything that his mother taught him, Snarltooth paid particular attention to 2 warnings given to him by his mother: never trust a wolf and always beware humans who carry the worm stink about them. Snarltooth spends most of his time in his bear form, keeping watch over the grizzly and brown bear populations of Yellowstone. His keen nose has alerted him numerous times to the presence of worm-tainted humans, and when this happens, Snarltooth takes action. The offending individuals disappear from the park permanently. Rumors of bear attacks in Yellowstone and its surrounding area have some substance, since Snarltooth does not waste time with niceties when confronted by Fomori masquerading as humans or human servants of the worm. He acts as Gaia's guardian and avenger for the bears of Yellowstone. Let's talk about a powerful character within World of Darkness known as Uncle Monday. Uncle Monday is an African-born weregator, which are commonly known as the Makole, who immigrated migrated from the Congo to the United States to protect his people in the early 1830s. The majority of his people were slaves that had freed themselves and were taken in by the Seminole people in the swamps of Florida. Well, in 1835, the United States government forced the Treaty of Payne's Landing on the Seminoles. They ended up sending a 108-man detachment led by Major Francis Dades to forcibly move the tribe that his people were hiding out with. The human chief Osceola, who wasn't a were-creature himself but came from a shifter family, led a resistance against Major Dades, aided by the werewolves Micanopy of the Uctina and Jumper of the Wendigos. The resistance forcibly led Major Dades' forces into the Everglades, where the werewolves came in to cut off Dades' retreat. This is when Uncle Monday shapeshifted into a huge alligator and called hundreds of scaly kin to his aid. Of Dades' 108-man detachment, only one man was allowed to live. Monday had hoped that the stories that the lone survivor would go on to tell would deter any more attacks on his people and the Native Americans. But sadly, he was wrong. Monday and his fellow Macaulay, with the aid of Native American werewolves, were forced to fend off federal troops until 1842, when the government finally called off the removal effort. Uncle Monday has since entered the sleep of the dragon. It is said that he still sleeps in the Everglades, and the group of Macaulay known as the River of Grass know how to wake him should his people ever need him again.